and I think you can correct me if I'm wrong. From the very beginning, when we were taking this building as we understood it was, say detached, we needed to follow that through as a detached. But also, and I'll tell you why there was a problem from the very beginning. The owner hired us to do a townhouse style duplex. That was the mandate at the very beginning. So we were like, what do we do? So, and I needed an SAP. And we're like, what do we do? Because you are a detached home, and that's the style that you got to kind of keep. And if we try to do the duplex townhouse style, you don't have the proper lot requirements met by right to be able to do so within this district. So we basically started wrong, because it should have not been like that, and he was pushing that direction. So in my end, it should have been more like, hey, you can't do that, right? You have to go to ZVA and get a variance for that. And then that would have changed. But also in his mind, when he bought this building, he thought he could do that. So like in his mind, it should be a little bit of like due diligence. Like, hey, before you buy this property, make sure you know that you can or cannot do what you want to do within this property. And that's kind of why we've been spinning our wheels. And that's why I was also like, do we just pick whatever style we want? It's like, basically, yes, if your lot can meet it. Correct. Within the district, right? Yeah, okay. All right, so that's good.
One of the things that I say to applicants is that the zoning code is a referential document. Different parts of the code refer to other parts of the code, and no one component of the code can just be taken in a singular fashion. And I think that is, all zoning codes are like that, but ours is particularly interwoven, perhaps more than others are. So unfortunately, it takes having to go back and say, like, well, does this comply? Does that comply? Does this comply? Look at this section over here. Oh, it refers to this section. I got to go over here. It's like a database, right? Yeah. It's not hierarchical. It's a referential thing.
Yeah, I do think that eventually AI will take your jobs away because it could be brought into a model. Maybe. It really could be brought into a model, and the computer will never get it wrong. It's fact, it's code, it's law, right? So you just put it in, and it tells you. So Joshua, you probably do you do what we do? No. We just literally go page by page through these PDFs. Yeah. We have it pinned up on the walls. The only one afloat is zoning from Somerville.
Oh yeah, like, dude, no lie. Like, if AI could do this, I mean, thank God, because it would allow us to actually plan communities, which is really what we're here to do. And it would make your life easier too, right? Because like, you get to be the guy that says, like, that's why when I look at people and they say, like, I've been thinking about being an architect and doing blah, blah, I'm like, sweetheart, because you don't get to just design cool buildings. You get to say no, and you get to do decks and dormers, and you get to get yelled at because a client wants one thing, but it can't be done. And it's like, you ain't got no good role here, man.
No, it's not as fun. Unfortunately, it's not. And it's, if we want to make a decent living within the residential world, we're about 80% residential.
Yeah, I would not want to work for a homeowner either. So I feel for you.
It's tough. But I guess we're all in this together, and I'm sure Joshua has his own checklist that he checks over and over and over and over to make sure before those emails get sent, it's like, did I really make sure? Hey, Sarah, can you take a look at this?
Which is why when last Friday or whenever it was, when they were like, are you sure about this orientation? Isn't this not compliant? And I was just kind of staring at it like, no. Yeah.
And guess what, Joshua?
I was more concerned with the roof line and all the rest of it, and then it's like, oh yeah, it's staring in.
Guess what?
So as soon as me and Julio, you guys are working on an AI model. Let me know.
Me and Julio were looking at each other. I was in another meeting when I saw the email come in, right? Your email, and he was looking at me. And he's like, "That one, read this carefully. Like, don't read it." And I was like, so you telling me we've been designing this whole thing wrong all along? This could have been said all the way back, and we've already done it. But again, because of the historic, it almost doesn't matter, because they weren't gonna get a permit. They weren't gonna get a permit. Now, but now I go back and say, hey, additional services for you, because And
again, you did essentially design a compliant detached triple decker, all exterior, which is when the code changed a couple of years ago, there was this expectation that there was going to be an explosion of 3-unit buildings and triple deckers, and there's people in the community who were worried about that. We did a report on this for the planning board a couple of weeks ago. There have been, I think, 3 triple deckers that have been developed maybe less, and it might have been only two, and then a couple third units that have been developed in I think a little over 3 years since the ordinance has been
4 years now. Yeah,
4 years. So the expectation, because that was one of the focuses in mind for the new ordinance, was to increase some housing density, put new units on the market, which didn't really pan out. And because of some of the requirements for the triple decker building type, one of which is that you have to either abut or be directly across the street from another triple decker type. That's like many of the properties in Somerville don't actually comply with the basic lot standards or that abutting requirement. This lot happens to be directly across the street from a triple decker building type and have the lot dimensions and depth. So all that is to say, the externals all look great, but the internal floor configuration would need to be changed. But again, you got time.
Side by side to triple decker too, right? That you can't do that.
Exactly.
Is
Yeah.
it?
All right.
I mean,